Cruella review, Cruella review. If it doesn't scare you, no evil things do. Cruella, Cruella review. Alright, welcome back to the channel. I'm Eric Kane. I'm going to talk about Cruella. I had the chance to screen this movie, and I get to talk about it with you guys a little bit. Overall, an enjoyable movie. Some good performances from Emma Stone and Emma Thompson. Interesting costumes, setting. The sort of 1960s London is pretty cool. But there are some problems. First off, is the length of this movie. It's only 2 hours and 14 minutes, but it still feels too long. Part of the problem I've noticed is that when a movie crosses that 2-hour border, it can easily kind of get lost, and its pacing can get kind of muddled. And so I've been calling this the rule of 20. And basically, if you go over 2 hours, consider cutting about 20 minutes. With Army of the Dead, 20 to 30 minutes would have, shaving off 20 to 30 minutes would have made that movie a lot more exciting, a lot faster paced, and less sort of tedious in some of those sort of slow, drawn out moments. The same applies to Cruella, which just sort of feels too long. It gets a little slow at times, gets a little bogged down. Cut 20 to 30 minutes. This movie could easily be an hour and 45 minutes, maybe closer to 2 hours, and it would have been a better movie. Some of the other problems, it's a little confusing at times. The story, and maybe this is partly pacing, but early on there's some tragedy that befalls our hero, Cruella, and actually Estella earlier on, but she has like multi-personalities. The tragedy that befalls her when she is a child is just a little confusing. What actually happens, even though we see it happen, it kind of doesn't make sense, and we don't find out about what really happened until later with a surprise twist that doesn't feel that surprising, and just sort of the whole reliance of the movie on sort of obfuscating what actually happened and then revealing it in a twist feels kind of cheap, kind of unsatisfying, and ultimately I think a more just straightforward, clear story where at least the audience knows what's going on, or I suppose if you're going to make it less apparent and more mysterious, do that. The movie kind of tries to have it both ways, where it shows us something and then just keeps some vital details from us, and that leaves us confused and a little frustrated when we finally find out the truth. Frustrated and not surprised. So it's kind of a problem with the structure of the film and with the ways they've told the story, or decided to tell the story of Cruella. Probably the biggest problem I had with this movie is Cruella herself. We're supposed to learn what makes this woman tick. Why is she in 101 Dalmatians trying to kidnap and murder and then skin 99 puppies and turn them into coats? All we really get from Cruella, though, is sort of her introduction to the fashion world and a revenge story where she's trying to get justice for that tragedy we mentioned before, against this woman played by Emma Thompson, the Baroness. The Baroness is, this is basically Devil Wears Prada, but with Dalmatians some Dalmatians and Cruella. Another problem, this movie's PG-13, and I don't know why. Is it darker than some Disney movies? Absolutely. But it's not particularly violent. There's no nudity. I don't recall any swearing. I don't really understand why this movie got a PG-13 rating other than Disney asked for one. Maybe they were hoping that it would seem edgy, kind of has that Birds of Prey, Harley Quinn feel to it. But this ain't Joker, okay? This is not a dark and troubling movie. It's not even Breaking Bad. We don't learn what makes Cruella evil. She's not evil. By the end of the movie, you walk away and you think, well, she's a little more goth. She's a little more badass. But she's not a villain. She's an anti-villain. She's not even an anti-hero, really. I mean, Cruella doesn't actually do anything particularly bad or wrong. The person that she's trying to take down is awful, but Cruella is fine. And I guess if there's a sequel to this movie, maybe we'll finally learn what makes her so horrible. But all this movie really does is show us why she might not like Dalmatians, or at least specific Dalmatians. As far as the movie goes, she's a dog lover, and I have a real hard time going from Cruella to 101 Dalmatians, which, if you think about it, is a much darker movie. I mean, that's a dark movie. It's about someone trying to kill puppies and a rescue attempt. So it's weird to me that 101 Dalmatians is actually a darker movie than Cruella, which is supposed to be this sort of edgy PG-13 movie. Now, there are good things about it too. It's shot very nicely. It's one of those movies. Okay, so this is kind of a backhanded compliment, I guess. It's one of those movies that is technically very well made. The cinematography is very clean. It's a beautifully shot movie, but it just always sort of feels sort of sanitized and safe. I guess that applies to the narrative as well. It's always playing it safe. It's never trying anything really bold. Outside of costume design. The costume design is excellent. It's probably the best part of the movie. There's a whole string of scenes where Cruella is taking on the Baroness by sort of undermining her in the fashion world, and you get these great costumes and these kind of fun pop-up guerrilla warfare fashionista stuff with Cruella. That's all pretty fun. And probably the most fun you'll have in this movie, outside of a couple little heists as well. So anytime there's some of this kind of heist or revengey things going on, this is a fun movie. It's an exciting movie. Again, I think if you cut down other aspects of it and you sharpened up some of the story, you'd have a pretty strong movie on your hand. Although they really need to take the character further. You need a dynamic arc for Cruella, and you really only get a dynamic bump. It's just not enough to build a movie off of as a prequel to 101 Dalmatians. Finally, I really think that this should have been a musical. I don't understand why they made this just a live action drama with no music. I know 101 Dalmatians wasn't a musical either, except for that one song, which is super catchy. But why not capitalize on the set pieces, the costumes? There could have been a great song when Cruella was a kid and comes to this ball, and it's sort of eye-opening, and then the tragedy happens at the end of that. And there could have been a great musical number when she gets a job at a fancy clothing shop where she's just cleaning, but she really wants to be a fashion designer. I mean, that writes itself, right? I want to be part of this world, Not that I'm saying they should steal songs from The Little Mermaid, but you get the idea. Throughout the movie, lots of missed opportunities for great musical numbers. Would have been really cool if this had been a musical, slightly darker musical than your average Disney. But overall, I say skip this one when it comes to paying extra. Watch it when it's on Disney Plus as part of your subscription. Don't spend the extra $30 or whatever they're asking for it. Maybe go to the movie theaters if you've got teenage girls, especially. I think this will appeal to kids in general, but especially maybe somewhat older kids who are excited by things like costumes, big elaborate dresses, and things like that. But overall, it's a lavish, beautifully produced, but ultimately sort of disappointing movie. It's enjoyable, but like Army of the Dead, I guess it just doesn't quite stick the landing. So that's my 2 cents. You may disagree when you see the film, and let me know. Please like and subscribe. Ring the little bell if you want to get notifications. And thanks for watching. Peace.